When launching different types of nonprofits, one of the most common questions that we get is, Tim, what types of nonprofits actually get the most funding? Now, although I do believe that it's about the who and not the do, meaning that it's not just about the space that you're in the nonprofit niche that you have, but it's about the individual and the belief level behind that individual. Based on data, there are 7 different types of nonprofit organizations that acquire the most funding, the most sponsorships, and the most grant opportunities. And in this video, I'm going to break down all 7, as well as the easiest types of nonprofit niches to get started with, the most competitive types of nonprofit organizations, as well as a list of different tips that any type of nonprofit organization can be successful if they're willing to implement. Let's dive. What's going on, guys? My name is Timothy Wright, the founder and CEO of The Nonprofit Launcher. We are back again with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing the top 7 most funded nonprofit niches. Now, before I get into this, I want to go back to something that I just said. And I really want you to just take a moment and hear me out on this. It's not just about the do. It's about the who. You've seen 2 people try to go to the NBA. One person has been practicing their whole life and now they're in the NBA making hundreds of millions of dollars. There's another person who's been practicing their whole life to go to the NBA and they didn't even make it to college. There's one person who started a YouTube channel and now they have millions of subscribers making millions of dollars. There's another person who started a YouTube channel and they still only have a few hundred subscribers and they've been making the same amount of videos. So why do I say this? It's because I need you to understand that it's not just about the do, but it's about the who, the belief, the conviction, the effort of the person doing the do. I want you to understand this because I'm going to tell you all these different amazing niches that are acquiring billions of dollars in funding. But if you aren't someone who is willing to become an individual with the capacity of $1 million business, it won't matter the niche that you're in because you won't be the individual that is capable of getting it done. So as we dive in here, just remember that there's more for you because there's more in you. Your life can get better because you can get better. And to be honest, it's required if you want your life to be better. All right, we got that out the way. Now let's talk about the 7 most funded nonprofit niches. Number 1 is going to be education. I need you to write this down. Education, a total giving of $59 billion with nearly 14% of the United States charitable donations go to educational nonprofits. Now, a lot of educational nonprofits focus on kindergarten through high school, STEM, scholarships, as well as college access. The top funders for the educational space, and you should definitely write this down, are the Gates Foundation, the Walton Family Foundation, the U.S. Department of Education, Google.org, as well as AT&T Aspire. These different types of organizations are the largest funders to the education niche. Now, in the education space, it is startup friendly. If we were doing a comparison between super competitive and easy to get started, we would use this as moderate. Now, we'll be honest, typically large organizations dominate this space, but smaller organizations can and definitely do win specific grants. But the main question that you want to ask yourself is, what makes me different? What makes me different? And there's only one way to uncover this. You have to find out what other organizations are doing. You have to. You have to do your research and do your homework to figure out, okay, I'm in the state of Texas. I'm focused on this particular said business. Let me figure out or find out how many different other types of individuals are working on this exact type of business, because I'm going to need a value proposition, something that makes me different. Something that makes me different. Something that makes me different. Now, I know that a lot of people, they want to start a nonprofit in their community because there are some other organizations out there that may not be doing what it is that you desire to do, whatever it may be, and that's completely fine. But what you're going to have to do is come up with a value proposition that is meaningful, not just to you, but to your community as well as the grant makers, as far as what makes you different. Again, what makes you different? All right, the second most funded niche in the nonprofit space is going to be health and medical. Health and medical, with a total giving of $38 billion. The most common focuses are going to be public health, disease prevention, mental health, and access to care. Now, we've worked with probably hundreds of different organizations who are focused on mental health, focusing on providing solutions to people who are overcoming drug addiction, who are overcoming getting out of prison, who are overcoming depression, anxiety, and that all stems with, providing mental health services. Now, although this is a great niche to be involved in, with some of the top funders being the HHS, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, Bloomberg Philanthropy, CVS Health Foundation, is a little bit more challenging to get your organization off the ground when you're focusing on health and medical. Now, the only reason this is the case is because this space is honestly honestly dominated by larger hospitals, research institutions, but smaller nonprofits, they do exceed in local community health. And what I mean by that is providing access to care, preventative service, mental health support, working on different educational boards. I would highly recommend that you try to get connected with some individuals in your school district, high school, middle school, as well as elementary, and see if you can start sitting on some of these boards, attending a PTA meeting if your desire is health and education. I would even recommend you get associated with some politicians as well. Listen, the more ammo you have on your side, the more people who can actually validate your services, the more important people who can actually validate your services and who you are. This is going to give you a huge advantage when it comes to competition against other nonprofits who are trying to get the same type of funding that you are. So again, if you're coming into this niche, I would encourage you to question, what makes me different? All right, number 3, this is going to be the easiest niche to get involved in, but also this is going to be kind of the most competitive niche to be involved in as well, because this one, more nonprofits are starting their organization with this niche and any other one. And this niche is human services and community programs. The total giving is between $50 and $78 billion, with 15% of all the funding coming strictly from donations. The common focus area for this particular niche is food security, housing, youth and family services, as well as poverty alleviation. The largest funders for this niche will be HUD, the United Way, the Ford Foundation, local community foundations, public libraries, as well as the Walmart Foundation. Now, as I mentioned before, this is going to be very easy to get started with. Many local and government as well as corporate grants are always available for these types of grassroots organizations. So the funding is definitely there. But again, this is going to be the most common type of nonprofit that individuals start. So when it comes to acquiring grants, it will be a little bit more competitive. All right, number 4 is going to be environment and climate. Now, total giving for this space is about $12 billion. The common areas of focus are conservation, environmental justice, clean energy, as well as climate resilience. The top funders for this one is going to be the Bezos Earth Fund Foundation, the Hewlett Foundation, the Packyard Foundation, and this is also a very competitive niche and is dominated mostly by larger organizations who already come in with large amounts of capital as well. Now, in this particular space, a lot of people get started in this niche is because they have a lot more grassroots opportunities than other nonprofit niches, meaning the grassroots, meaning they may possibly give you funding to get your organization off the ground. They may give you funding just for the ideation phase. Now, a lot of different niches, they don't do that. They're going to require you to already have went through that phase. But in this particular niche, a lot of new nonprofits, they get money just for the idea to go through and turn it into an actual nonprofit organization. Now, number 5 is going to be arts and culture. Total giving is between $19 and $20 billion. The common areas of focus are museums, public art, performing arts, as well as cultural education. This niche is very startup friendly. Smaller grants are definitely available locally, and major funders are often backed by well-known institutions. So with this particular niche, I would encourage you, if you haven't already, is you definitely want to start establishing relationship with power players. Honestly, in any niche, if you want to make this happen faster than slow, you want to develop relationships. I know half of you watch this video and you may be hoping that I'm going to provide you with a specific grant website, a specific sponsorship website. You're going to apply and then boom, you're going to have a grant, you're going to have a sponsor. And although that is definitely possible, in most cases that won't be true. Again, if we look back at the majority of these industries and how I mentioned that a lot of the larger organizations are dominating the space, is not because they come in as larger dominant organizations, is they come in with larger dominant relationships, larger dominant donors who can give them large amounts of funding to then invest in the research, to then invest in the marketing, to invest in startup, to get more people to find out about what they're doing, and then the rest happens from there. So with coming into the art space, this is probably going to be one of the easiest niches to get funding for with the startup phase, but at the same time, it may be one of the hardest organizations for you to scale to ultimate success, only because it's largely dominated by larger organizations who are backed by well-known institutions. So if we were going to even the playing field, one thing that I would do if I were you coming into this space is to ensure, like I said before, that you have some type of network, you have relationships. Hey, don't be afraid to tell people about this nonprofit idea that you have. Tell a CEO, tell an executive. Don't tell just someone who has no contribution, they can't make any contribution to your organization. Tell someone that's in a position of authority, that's in a position of power. Your life may change from that, believe it or not. All right, number 6, and this is definitely a favorite. This is going to be international relief and development. international relief and development. Total giving is between 23 and $30 billion. The common areas of focus are global health, clean water, humanitarian aid, as well as education abroad. The top funders are going to be the State Department, the Gates Foundation, UN agencies, Coca-Cola Foundation, as well as an organization called the USAID. I'm going to encourage you to research that. USAID. Now, we're starting a nonprofit for international relief. This is one that will be a little bit more difficult. The funding is usually not as maximized as other opportunities. Smaller organizations, they're going to need some type of startup costs on their own before they can grow and then get connected with the bigger agencies. In most cases, for this to be successful, you're going to want to have some type of international connection as well, some international relationships, because you're probably going to need some of your relationships internationally to help you bring it to life with your international relief. Although you will be able to find grants and you will be able to find sponsorships over here in the States, you're still gonna have to take that work and then go over to wherever you plan on doing work at, whether it be Uganda, whether it be Africa, no matter where you plan on doing business at or helping people at, you're gonna wanna make sure that you probably have some type of relationships over there as well. And this is definitely a common mistake that I see. Wanting to start a nonprofit to serve people in Uganda, or wanting to serve people in Jamaica, or you wanna serve people, wherever it may be, but your intent is great, but your specificness is very broad, meaning that you want to do this, and this. You're trying to save the country. And although that is a great probable cause, I'm definitely proud of you for wanting to do something like that. You're going to have to niche down for the sake of business. Can you write that down? You're going to need to niche down for the sake of business, because when you're talking to different funders, when you're talking to different grant makers who can possibly give you the funding, the question they're going to ask is the same thing that I've been saying to you this entire video. What makes you different? There's someone who's already trying to give clothes to people in Uganda. There's someone who's already trying to give food to someone in Nigeria. So for you, what is it that you plan on doing that makes you different? That's an important question. You got to think about it. If I was someone who was sitting in front of you and I said, I'm going to give you $100,000. You have 5 minutes. Convince me why I should give you this money. What would you say? Really think about that. Would it be something, oh man, Tim, we're going to save the world. We're going to impact so many people. You think that that's what I want to hear? No, I want you to be specific about the plan, specific about the impact, specific about the outcome. These are the type of conversations you're going to need when it comes to the specificness and what makes you different in each niche. All right. And last but not least, number 7 is going to be public society benefit and advocacy. Public society benefit and advocacy. The total giving is about $10 billion, with 10% of all the funds coming straight from donations. The common focus areas are civil rights, social justice, community building, democracy, as well as voter engagement. The top funders for this space are the Ford Foundation, the Open Society Foundation, MacArthur Foundation, as well as your local community foundations. To get started in this space, we'll go from moderate to difficult. It just depends on the alignment that you have with the funders. You want to make sure that you have a strong storytelling and evidence of impact. This is going to be key. So in a lot of cases, people start a nonprofit that they've already kind of started their work in, right? They haven't started the actual nonprofit, but they already started their work. If that's you, that's a good thing, is because what you may have done already is collected some data, collected some proof of impact. This is going to be great for the different types of grant application and sponsorship opportunities that you will have within this space. Now, as I mentioned before, the easiest niches to be involved in starting a new nonprofit is going to be human resources. It's going to be most accessible, for food, housing, youth, and outreach. Then we have community education and mentorship, especially for local school focus. Faith-based support services. This is a very common organization to start and it's very easy to get started. Then we have environmental justice, emerging priority for grassroots funding. And then the last one, the local arts project, like I mentioned before. Now, the two most competitive niches are going to be health and research, because they're mostly dominated by larger institutions like hospitals and universities, which have much larger funding opportunities. And then the international aid, as I mentioned before, starting a nonprofit in America with the intentions to help people in other countries. It's something that's a little bit more difficult as far as the competitive goes within the nonprofit space. But no matter if you were choosing a easy niche or a competitive niche, one thing I'm going to recommend that you do is you want to show some measurable results. Measurable results. Can you write that down, please? This is what's going to help you scale your organization. So let's say right now, if you're in a position where you're looking for grant opportunities, you're looking for sponsorships, what I want to encourage you to do is, I mentioned this before in some of my other videos, is you want to start trying to offer your services away at no cost at all, offering your services away for completely free, because what you want to do is you want to try to gather some data about how people feel about your programs and your services. Maybe you take someone through your mental health program and they find a lot of value in it, and then what they can do for you is become a testimonial for your organization. Hey, make a short video, send an email, and what this email is going to do, what this video will represent, this will represent proof of impact. Proof of impact. This is something that you're going to need if you really plan on scaling your organization. Now, something else to do to make sure you're having success when it comes to funding is you want to align with your current funders' priorities. You want to align with your current funders' priorities. One thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to apply for a grant that isn't aligned with what your mission is. So if this organization, if they're focusing on saving animals from A, B, C, and D, but your organization is impacting women who just got out of prison, your priorities aren't aligned, right? Which is going to lead you to applying for a bunch of grants that you get denied for, is because your priority isn't aligned with the funder's priority. So with that being said, before you apply for any grant, you want to look at the description and make sure you read and understand what the priorities of this organization is. Because if their organization's priorities aren't aligned with my organization's mission, there's no way I'm going to get this grant. Now, another thing to do to be successful as a nonprofit organization is you want to make sure that you are expanding your capacity. Now, expanding your capacity is going to consist of two things. Number one is bringing other people into your organization so you can do OPT, other people's time. But also the main and most important thing, and I said this at the beginning of the video, is you're going to need to work on yourself. Now, I know this is something that may not seem like something that you need to do because you're launching a nonprofit. What does working on myself have to do with working on a nonprofit? Your business gets better as you get better. Your life gets better as you get better. As you evolve, the ideas that you have for your business also evolve. As you evolve, the people that connect themselves to you and attract themselves to you also evolve. So again, that personal development is going to be so key. The personal development, the reading, the working out, doing the hard things, they're working on your habits, they're going to sleep late, going to sleep early, waking up early, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do to personally develop yourself, learning something about the nonprofit space every single day, learning something about God if you believe in God, learning something about yourself and your past trauma and how to overcome that so you can be a better individual. These things are not recommended for your success. These things are required. The last couple of things is you want to ensure that you are diversifying the way that you receive funds. So I would encourage you to be promoting receiving donations on a daily basis. I would also encourage you to be trying to attract and acquire sponsorships. And then of course, providing a program service fee. Most people think that nonprofit means no money, but we've already discovered in a lot of my other videos that that's 100% non-true. Your organization can make money, as much money as you like, as long as it's aligned with your mission. So I would encourage you to take a look at your programs, your services. What is it that you're offering? Why is it that you're offering this? And do people really need it? If they do need it, trust me, if you promote it properly, they will invest. They will come to your events. They will come to your meetings. I would also encourage you to partner with go-getters as well. Partner with go-getters as well. Don't work with anyone who's still trying to get started. Don't work with anyone who's been thinking about starting a nonprofit for 5 years and all they have is their nonprofit and their mission statement. That's not the type of person that you want to work with. And if that's you, that's no disrespect. I just want to be honest and help the people here that are looking for it. You want to work with go-getters, people who are in momentum, people who are moving. If you work with people who are moving and you're not moving, you will move. If you work with people who are not moving and you're not moving, you won't move. So you want to work with go-getters. And then last but definitely not least, you want to make sure that you're unique. Your value proposition is important. I would encourage you to question it over and over and over and over and over again. What makes me different? What makes me different? What makes me different? Every time I post a YouTube video, every time I post on TikTok, whatever it may be, I'm always questioning, what can I do? What can I say that gets these people to realize that I'm very different? And this is the consistency of it over time that people will see, okay, this is what makes him different. This is his offer different from this person. His service is different from this person. Okay, I see why he has this here. I'm going to work with him instead of them. You want to make sure that you spend enough time with yourself as well as your board members to come up with the truth about what makes you unique. So I hope this video has been informative. That was the top 7 most funded nonprofit niches as of today. Billions of dollars in funding in every single niche, and there's plenty of room for somebody like you to get started. My question to you is, which niche are you choosing? Comment down below, and then also let me know what makes you different. We make these videos for you, and as I always say, I believe in you, I respect you, I admire you for being on this journey. Don't stop, keep going. We're about halfway through the year. It's time to crank it up. We'll see you again soon. I'm signing off. Peace.